Hemp is a wonder plant that has a huge variety of uses, from food and medicine all the way through to clothing fibers and even fuel. Today, we're about to visit a beautiful small home that's even been made from the stuff. G'day Michael.
Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, mate. This house looks incredible.
Thank you.
This is built out of some pretty special stuff, isn't it?
It is.
Hempcrete is something that I have been fascinated by as a building material. Can you tell me a little bit about it and why you actually chose to build your home with hempcrete?
Okay, we started this project because we were really looking for healthy building materials. My wife's father, unfortunately, 10 years ago passed away from mesothelioma, a building material related disease. And as we started to plan our new project, we started to look for really healthy materials that would benefit our family. And really, the hempcrete found us.
So before we moved to Byron, I was studying building biology with a college down in Victoria. And essentially after that, we just wanted to build a healthy home for our family, our young children to live in. After we started and Mike's building company kicked off, it became not so much about the health of the people living in the home, but also about the health of the builders who are working with toxic materials every day. It was a year before my son was born. My father passed away from asbestos, mesothelioma. He was an architect and was exposed to asbestos with his work. And I guess his dream was always to build his own home, and it never came to be. But I feel like in a way we're continuing on his legacy, but as well as doing that, adding on, the healthy building, healthy living aspect to it.
Hemp is a really old building material that has been used for hundreds and hundreds of years, but after the various conspiracies to knock it out of the market have suddenly subsided, hemp seems to be having a resurgence, and I certainly believe it's a material for the future.
And of course, relevant to where you've built here in Australia, one of the major benefits of hemp is that it also has incredible insulation properties, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's twofold in this region. Because we're in a subtropical environment, we get a lot of humidity and mold in the inside of the properties, but the hemp wall allows the moisture to transfer from the inside to the outside, reducing the ability to create mold inside. But also that hot westerly sun, the hot easterly and the northerlies produce a lot of heat in the buildings, and hemp's got incredibly insulating values.
And what is hempcrete? For people who have never actually heard of hempcrete before, what is it?
Well, it's the low THC version of the one that can get you high, the marijuana plant, and it's harvested in the Hunter Valley from local farmers. You can get about 3 or 4 crops a year out of it. It's organically farmed, there's no chemical materials in it, and it's just a wonder plant. It's chopped and processed, and we buy it in a bale, and then we mix it with a binder, some water and some sand, and this is the result.
And then when it actually comes to constructing the home, you've got this kind of loose, viscous kind of hemp material which has been mixed with the binder, and how does that then get transformed into this?
Well, what we do is we set up it's got a simple timber frame in there. Because it's a lime-based binder, we don't need to use treated pine, which takes out another toxic material in the building frame. We then put a formwork on the outside of the building and a formwork on the inside. We'll then mix it in a mixer by hand. We'll then transfer that by buckets into the formwork, and we'll tamp it down.
So other than the hemp material that's actually used as sort of the largest part of the construction, can you talk me through the wall system and how that all actually comes together to form this completed home?
Yeah, so the outside is rendered with a lime-based render. That protects it from harsh weather conditions, driving rain, but it still allows the wall to be breathable. On the inside, you'll see we've used a clay render, which is really great for high humidity because it allows, the material holds moisture and transmits moisture really well through the breathable hemp wall system. Building with hemp is probably about 5 to 10% more expensive on a wall material. But considering the walls are really only a very small percentage of the build, really the minor cost increase is not that huge. The cost to build this building was about $150,000. That was us managing everything, but we used a lot of outside labour and we weren't on the tools too much. So it's probably a true reflection of the cost.
This place is called Skyfarm. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came to be here on this land?
We'd been looking for properties to buy in the region for 12 months. I'm an architect, my wife's father is an architect, and we always had a passion to build our own home, but never really built up enough guts to do it. Once we bought the land, we thought it was important to live on it before we planned a much bigger home. As it turns out, we've enjoyed living in this tiny home so much, so we're pretty happy where we are.
How big is this house actually?
60 square meters on the ground floor. We've managed to fit in a 20 square meter mezzanine, so that gives it a little breathing space.
Well, the outside of the house is absolutely beautiful. Can we have a look inside?
Sure.
Wow. The open plan of this design really does make this small home feel very large, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was a critical design element. It allows all the spaces to be multifunctional while creating a little defined areas within the plan.
And let's talk materials for a minute, because you can see looking around here that there are a good variety of different timbers that have been used in this. Can you tell me a little bit about what's been used in the construction as well as the sourcing of those materials?
Yeah, so in the process of searching for the materials, we found some fabulous cypress pine timber, which is a natural termite resistant timber. The floor is all made out of iron bark, which would be sourced locally in this Northern Rivers region about 100 years ago when they were building old timber frame weatherboard houses. The windows were recycled from a house down in Newrybar. A guy was replacing them and he put them on Gumtree and we picked them up really cheap. And other bits and pieces we found in tip shops, at other people's houses, Gumtree, and in the forest.
So a huge percentage of recycled and reclaimed materials have gone into this house as well.
Yeah, there's nothing that new in here. We were really keen, because some buildings when they're built with new materials can look a little bit soulless, so we felt the character was important. You know, some of this timber will be 100 years old, and so I think it was important that they all sat well together.
Plus, it's allowed you to do some really interesting things inside this home, like these gorgeous wooden features that are actually built into the hemp panel in the kitchen here.
Yeah, so building the project was a collaborative approach with a number of different people. One of our lead builders decided to book leaf a camphor tree. He then set it into this stud frame and cast the hemp around it. It's kind of got this serpent type look.
And then your kitchen, this is wonderful. Can you tell me a little bit about the layout and the design of your kitchen?
Little bit of a makeshift kitchen. We were only intending to live in this house temporarily, but 2.5 years temporarily we're still here. This is the mother-in-law's desk, so we pinched that. This we found in a tip and we just patched up the slab. Dishwasher was an absolute essential, so that was brand new, and we were never going to last unless we had one of those, and this was our old cooker. So we kind of freestyled it a little bit, put the sink in, and then just kind of moved things where they worked.
And then of course, being a young family, you've got to have space for the kids, and you've set up a great little nook for them over there.
Yeah, we've managed to cram a lot into a small space, complete with a soccer pitch, bunk beds, all of their clothes, an entire Lego collection, and a lot of other things shoved underneath the bed.
You're a family of 4 living in 60 square meters. How's that working out with the 2 young ones?
It's cozy, and as they get bigger, I think we're going to need to expand. We're still together as a family, so that's a good sign. While the kids have been young, it's been perfect. You know, our children like to call out at night and they can hear that we're up there. They feel safe and secure. They've got a little bit of privacy because they're a little separate level from us, but it seems to be working so far.
And the kids are enjoying the space?
Yeah, they love it, especially now they've got the fly screen up, you know, they can play cubbies in there. They've got everything they need in really 3 or 4 square meters.
And then of course, we're right next to the bathroom. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've done with that?
Yeah, the bathroom is fairly compact, but it's completely functional. This is a recycled Japanese door that we found locally. Little basin, little shower, and of course a compost toilet, which was a new experience for us as a family. But the nice bit of this bathroom is really this Otsumagaki wall polish plaster finish that we've been using. It's 95% clay, 5% lime, and it gives you a wonderful kind of Moroccan sheen finish.
And what's the purpose of using that in the bathroom?
So it's a pretty durable material, so it's good for the wet atmosphere of a bathroom, but at the same time it's still breathable, so the humidity that builds up in here can transfer to the outside, no problem.
And then you mentioned the composting toilet as well. How is that working for your family?
It's been great, but and more importantly, it's really brought some awareness down to our waste. You know, it's Dad who has to shovel that out every 6 months, so I'm more aware of it than everyone else. But you're conscious of what you put down in it, you're conscious of what you take out of it, and I think that's really great for all of us as a family.
And then your sleeping area is upstairs?
Yes, we have a little bit of privacy from the children downstairs. We've got a little 20 square metre mezzanine up there.
Great. Such a cool stairwell.
Yeah, this is a combination of a recycled Gumtree spiral staircase and branches we scavenged out the forest.
This is completely charming.
Yeah, it's fun up here. It's compact, as I said, 20 square meters, but it's got everything we need.
You really just have created such a cozy sleeping space in this mezzanine, and I can see quite a lot of storage up here as well.
Yes, most of it's my wife's, as you can see. I've got one little drawer over there and she's got the rest. But it has everything we need up here. Most importantly, I would say, looking north, we've got a beautiful view of Shinkogan every time we wake up in the morning.
From up here as well, you have such a great view of the roof shape and all of these incredible trusses. Can you tell me about what's been done with all this?
Yeah, again, the trusses kind of morphed from lots of recycled timber that we found. We found some really long lengths of timber, and we wanted to articulate the space so it just wasn't just an open chasm. And these trusses are set at 3 meter spacings, and each truss we designed slightly differently. The very far one on the outside facing north has got 2 ancient runes built into the truss shape from one of the lead carpenters who was instrumental in building this space. The runes represent blessing and the connection between the heavens and the earth.
I love just building those really unique but super special features into a home.
I think it's really important that the people involved in the building get an opportunity to implement their ideas into a structure that also stays here permanently. Working with Hempcrete was an incredibly community-based process of building. We had a monk, we had a school teacher, we had lots of people volunteer, we had local friends pulled in, and everyone got their hands dirty and had a lot of fun doing it.
And it was beautiful to have the kids witnessing the building process and feeling like they're a part of it.
Yeah, when you're on a site where there's no toxic material, all of the waste product that's being thrown around the site, be it wood chips or hemp or lime, has got no toxic effect on the people here. You feel a lot freer and a lot safer. I think our children hemp rendered their whole bedroom area and they loved it, getting the trowel out, smoothing the walls up, and they really felt a strong sense of
contribution.
Yeah. But overall we had a collective team of people who want to contribute to make a space more healthy for the people who lived in it, and that was us, the clients at the time. We've now used those people to build bigger and better projects, and we've added to that team. Everyone we've worked with in this region is highly conscious of their footprint on the world and their ability to be able to change the course, the direction of the planet's in at the moment.
And having worked with hemp originally on this project, this was a bit of an experiment for you originally.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the material now?
Every build we do, we're learning more and more about it. The more I learn about it, the more I fall in love with it. The benefits that it brings to the environment by sequestering carbon is a huge opportunity for Australia and the world at large, and we're just learning more about that. Coupled with recycling timbers and recycling as much waste as we can create a really great aesthetic in the buildings that we produce. The most astounding fact of hemp is that it's carbon negative. It sequesters carbon out of the atmosphere whilst it's growing and when it's in place in the wall. The knock-on effect to our environment is hugely positive. To have a plant that can grow organically with no chemicals, that conditions the soil with deep tap roots, doesn't need much water to grow, that can then be cut down and manually processed without the use of big machinery and transportation is a game changer. The fact that it can sit in the walls and continue to sequester carbon only has a huge positive effect for our children's future generations' lives.
I am just so incredibly inspired by this building. Hemp is a building material that has fascinated me for such a long time, and it's wonderful for me to be now inside a Hempcrete building and experiencing it myself. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful home with me.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hemp is a powerful plant that for too much of our history has been powerfully misunderstood. As you can see in this home though, its properties make it a perfect building material that's not only very practical, but also capable of constructing a beautiful home. There is no doubt in my mind that hemp is going to be a major player in the future of construction.